Nucco Brain is a visual storytelling studio, and what we do is that we tell stories visually through video, mainly through animation, 2D and 3D, illustration, infographics, and rendered content. Our USP is related to the storytelling approach that we have to everything. So first comes the story, and that's the way that people communicate to each other really, and have been since the dawn of time. If you add to that really tech-savvy and optimized design approach, that's what makes Nucco Brain special. The idea for our company name is a tricky one because it's kind of a double joke. Nucco means thick in Milanese dialect, so it's not even Italian, all right? And it was a little bit of a joke about the fact that we can communicate with anybody, even with people that are rather thick, so we get a message across. And it was a little bit of a joke about ourselves, about how persistent we are, if you want to put it like that, or stubborn, it depends how you see it. What are our goals for 2016? 2016 is going to be the year where we shout out more about what we do, because we've been quiet last year, and now that we're seeing more and more amazing recognition of our work, so more magazine features and whatnot, we just realized that we need to share this with the world a little bit more. It's also the year that we've been appointing 2 BAFTA-winning art directors and expanding into creating a new department with a partnership that I cannot share now, but if you keep a close eye on Nucco Brain the next months, you will see something amazing happening. I think that the most important trend in our industry at the moment is the fact that brands are starting behaving really like publishers. Okay, so it's something that I think that some brands have been more aware of that in the past, but now more and more brands are taking that on board, and they understand that the content that needs to be created is not something that is only for the self-promotion of the brand, but it has to satisfy the customer, the user, their target audience. And what they're against is not only other brands, but what TV channels and newspaper are. So they're in the same space. So brands should really embrace this trend, and some of them are doing, and with amazing results, I must say. So I think this is really where the industry is going. So animation is the most precise way to communicate with a specific audience for various reasons. And one is that the stylization inside animation allows you to be as detailed as you want to be. What we see is that, especially when we have a multi-channel, multinational, multicultural campaign, animation allows you to create these characters that are cross-cultural. And for example, we recently did a job that for Rolls-Royce Engineering. They went across 40 different countries, and they wanted a character that could have been, a Brazilian guy, as well as somebody in Africa, as well as somebody in London. So with live action, you can never get to that level of, if you want vagueness, but the point is that with animation and stylization, you say exactly what you want to say, and you cherry pick the elements that you want to show. And plus, making things explode is rather cheaper. The other reason why animation is great to tell a brand story is because it goes really well across different media. So you don't have to suffer from a translation from a static image, an infographic, or a video, or even a game or an interactive experience. You can have the same design and a really consistent way to sustain the brand awareness and the brand identity in that space. So the way we work with brands and startups is quite similar in the structure of the work. It's just that with brands, most of the times there are a little bit more stakeholders involved. But we try to keep that kind of startup fresh approach also with big brands, and I think that this is what allows us to almost bring an element of R&D in each project that we do. So in terms of timing, we make a proud badge of the fact that we're quite fast. So we did an above-the-line campaign in 8 weeks 2 years ago, which everybody said it would be impossible, and we managed to do that. After that, I had some more white hair, but it's kind of cool. And in general, our process is very much an exploration one at the beginning. So we try to understand what a brand stands for and how to better create a visual language to represent them, and then we move into the kind of video production that is how you would expect, from storyboarding to creating style frames, finding the right voices for the characters and music, and then we jump into the animation. I would say that the difference with the brands is that we have to make sure that more elements are happy and more stakeholders are happy. While with startups, you have most of the times a figure that is possibly CEO and the marketing manager together. So it's the difference between several steps of approval and something that's a little bit more direct. That's why we love working with startups. But we're seeing this entrepreneurial attitude in some of the most innovative brands, and that's the brands we like to work with. My favorite part about working on animation and design is the total creative freedom that you have with that, so you don't have to think about limitations. I used to work in live action, and that was frustrating, especially because of that reason. You know, there were things you just cannot do. So animation allows you to move from anything that is superhuman drama to explosive, crazy, psychedelic experiences seamlessly, and that's something that is really, really invaluable. That opportunity to work without boundaries in any possible way. So my advice for a brand that is trying to create viral content is, first of all, to be kind of cautious on the word viral, because at least the way I see it, viral is something that is successful and highly shared beyond expectation. So say that something is going to go beyond expectation is kind of an oxymoron for me. But what I can say is, like, to create highly shareable, amazing content that resonates with your audience, a big deal is the honesty, right? So what I see is that sometimes shareability is a kind of a vanity metric, a goal per se. Well, if your brand is honest and the story resonates with your target audience, that's the main, the gist of it, And then I can say that we have a simple rule that is 2 out of 3. You need to have heart, you need to have smart, and you need to have fart. So, 1 of the 3, it's good. 2 out of 3 is the perfect formula for it. Heart, fart, and smart.